to go.
Good.
Yep.
All right, we will call to order the Safety and Service Committee meeting for Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. Doug Lehner, Marvin Block, myself present. I have Jack, Bailey, Teresa, Mayor Dutcher, Jim, and we have Chief Haroon online. I don't think we have any other public participation, so very good. Action on minutes from May 4th. Doug or Marvin, any changes?
Nope. No.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving right along. Item number 3, construction project updates, our typical regular request. Jim, Jack, anything? Couple things, probably some updates on
Yeah,
it.
a couple things. Jim, you want me to run first?
How about it?
Westview basically is completed. The paving is down, the sidewalks are in. We have grass seed and straw down. We have the 2 yards that we believe were cut fairly steep. Homeowners are happy and satisfied with what's there. So we will have a final walkthrough on that project in the coming weeks, and then that should come to council for acceptance on that project.
Make a comment on that project.
You go right ahead.
I asked you about that sidewalk in front of Westview there on the corner.
Mhm.
Go by it yesterday. It looks fantastic. The guys have done a real good job on that.
Yeah, and they actually put that webbing up to support the topsoil while that grass is taken off. So that's,
Really looked a lot better than I thought they could get it.
yeah, I'm pleased with the overall
Who was
look
the
of that.
contract?
Excuse me,
Who was the contractor on that?
Shelley
Ellie?
Company
Shelley.
was the contractor there. Just a quick update on South Oregon. South Oregon should start early, mid-July is when the contractor, and that is Law Contracting, said they'll be in on that one. The water tower the new water tower behind the Granville Mill should take off in the next 2 weeks, was what I heard. Don't have a definite date. The relief sewer, which is the sewer extension on 62 from the Granville Mill to the corner and from basically behind Valley View to the sewer plant, that should also take off in the next couple weeks. The first phase will be out on State Route 62. Let's see. Have not done the final walkthrough on Croton Road yet. So we've got to get to that. And as you all know, the East Jersey project, we did not get funded. So I think that one's probably put to bed for the year. We're not going to worry about that any further. Jim, what have I forgotten?
I got
Oh, go ahead.
has Pulte got their problem straightened up out there as far as you're concerned?
Pulte is an ongoing conversation every day. We are not at an impasse currently. I guess it seems like every couple weeks we have a different issue or something else going on, but we are working through them as they come through. As far as the light situation, I think we're holding off on that until ODOT finishes up their plans.
Those be in the next 60 days.
But you know, the piece by piece, just the water and sewer and storm sewer functions, it seems like we always have a discussion, but we're getting through them.
I think we give them more breaks than we give anybody for a long time.
I would agree with you. We have worked very hard with working with Pulte.
Well, I think it's time we start playing hardball with them. It doesn't matter what the state's gonna do out there. Our contract with them, doesn't it state that they will start engineering on that red light at a certain time, a certain number of houses?
The end of phase 2. Yes.
Are they still
I thought
building?
they'd met
phase
that
two?
already.
Phase 1 and 2 are done.
Yeah, but I think it was phase 2 in the previous So Pulte is phased it different.
Yes, that's a
Right.
true statement. When, who was it? Dominion?
Yes.
Dominion, I think, only had 3 phases total. Pulte broke it up into multiple phases. So I don't know what phase 2 from Dominion equals
I have it.
to phases in Pulte.
Well, Pulte would have to accept, if we signed the agreement with Dominion, Pulte's accepted that agreement when they bought the project.
But phase 2 does not equal the same amount of houses as phase 2 did with Dominion.
Shouldn't matter.
Shouldn't matter.
That's
It's the number of houses,
language thing.
whatever their numbers is or whatever their phases is. In phase 1 or 2, whatever it said before, it numbered the houses.
I will
No matter-
defer to Jim because I think he's had more negotiations with them on when they have to start the light. I could be wrong, but I know you've had conversation with them.
Yeah, this is the phasing that the agreement was based on. So the light yellow and dark yellow is section 1, phase 2. I mean, I can have them start. I mean, it's,
No, I just want to, I want to push them all with a dime so they do something with the shopping center. Get that done. I'd rather see that as the light, but
I think
they're
everybody,
not going to do anything until they get shoved, Jim.
I agree.
If we shove them up against the wall, they're not going to do anything. And I think
Are
if
they continuing to have discussions with Altera or not?
I'm not sure where they've left off since then. I don't know if you know
Good.
anything, Bailey.
I think they want to see the ODOT plans as well.
To see if they can incorporate it in.
Yeah, well, we keep hearing different things from ODOT too about what they're gonna do. So we're worried that if Pulte puts a light in, then ODOT will take it out, or if Pulte connects through Altera, then ODOT, I've heard, and this could just be a rumor, that ODOT might just put a light at Bigelow anyways. Because they're having problems with the Wendy's owner. And so I don't know, obviously, sorry. Obviously I don't know because I haven't spoken directly to ODOT, but I've heard from someone that because they're having issues with the Wendy's owner, that they want to put the access road at Bigelow now. I don't know the details of that though. So then if we have Pulte connect through Altera, is ODOT going to put a light in at Bigelow anyways? That's why we're all sort of waiting to see what ODOT says.
It seems to be the baseline conversation.
I remember what happened across the street. We made agreements with them and we ended up spending $1.5 million on that road. And I think it'll happen again with Pulte's. We'll end up with no red light and they'll walk away one of these days.
I think I absolutely understand where you're coming from, Marvin, and I think the conversation definitely needs to continue to be had.
The conversation hadn't got anywhere, Ben. They have conversations with him. Jack had a conversation about their water pit and they buried him 3 foot deep.
Well, the conversation about the road, in my opinion, needs to continue to stay at the forefront. And with ODOT being the foundation, it's difficult, and I can understand from that perspective. It's difficult to plan when you don't know how the rest of that road's going to be. And if you move it from Wendy's, down to Bigelow, to Bailey's point, that changes the entire dynamic of the conversation.
Does that
So
mean they're gonna take the light out at Wendy's?
No.
I
don't
think
think
they
so.
would do both. I don't know the validity of
Okay.
what I've heard about ODOT
I know.
too. That's why we've sort of just been waiting to see what their
Those
engineering
people
plans
are
are.
Talking to a brick wall.
We'll just keep continuing the conversations until they're through building out.
They have quite a large number of homes yet to build over there though, but
We know where they are building wise, are they in that section, that back section, or they've done 10, they got 100 to go, or we know?
I was trying to bring up that map.
If you don't have it, I don't care. That's fine. I'm just,
I mean, would they be the latest ones would be on our permitting software, right?
Yeah, but I don't have access to the internet right now.
I think that they're still building on Bigelow, the past couple ones that I've seen, and Red Fox Court, which is still over by like the
Yep.
Raccoon Creek Park.
Okay.
They are asking for the village to accept phase 1 and 2 as complete. I got a call from them the other day. I said, well, we have to do a final walkthrough. And instead of, and this is something I, need to talk with Jim about. Instead of accepting the project as a whole project, they want to accept it as they complete the streets. Now, we have done that in Leafy Dale. We've accepted, this phase, these 3 streets, then this phase. Now, whether we're going to do that by letter or whether we're going to do that and hold a mechanics lien, I need to have some more discussion. I told them I would begin to look into it. But phase 1 and 2, they are viewing as completed.
So if they walk away, that belongs to us. If they walk away from the project, I know what you guys are saying, but if this economy goes in the dumpster,
Oh, we all know this housing market is going to
It's gonna
burst
bust, and
one of
that's-
these
that's
days.
what's in the back of my mind. I want to see houses built down there and have families moving in and stuff. But I don't want to see the village get caught with their britches down again.
Of course, they're not going to run too soon in the sense because they, whether you view it as a good thing or a bad thing, they did pay a bunch of tap fees ahead. I mean,
They was pretty fast on that. It
oh
wasn't-
yeah, because that was coming, but they have, I don't know, how many did they buy?
50?
So I
I'm
thought
thinking
50.
50.
Say 50.
I'm thinking, and they still have 40 more of them I mean, they're in the hole on the tap fees. They're not going to run away too quickly.
Did the issue with this sewer pump station get resolved or not?
Well, yes.
Okay.
We have worked an agreement out with them why the lift station is being constructed. They are manually pumping it out of the manhole in front of the first lift station and dumping it in the manhole beyond the lift station, which that lift station pumps it from one section to the other.
Okay.
So we're keeping an eye on that, making sure it's pumped and it's in a proper condition.
That's not the
Final.
final
Yeah.
resolution of.
Oh,
that
no,
issue.
the lift station has to be completed.
And they
built.
have to pay for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
They know that now.
this is their lift station.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I feel like the base of this is with the light and the intersection that is the 62 piece with ODOT. And had that not been on the table, then I feel like that we'd probably be a lot further along with Pulte with respect
Oh,
to
I
putting
agree
in
with that.
a light or an intersection or something. But with the 62 project and wanting to be efficient and effective and not duplicating efforts with respect to where you have traffic backing up or where lights are or aren't, that to me is the piece that is maybe quote unquote holding up this whole thing, which is why for me that's the foundation. Otherwise,
And Jim can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel we obviously know less about this project than we did the first phase
Sure.
because we were a hand in hand partner on the first phase. We're
right,
not on
Right.
this phase. They are putting it together. And then I think we're going to get to review the plans when they get it put together.
yep,
And then if we have comments, obviously at that point, we'll have comments, but nobody's
yeah.
talking to us too much about how that 62 is going together unless they're talking to you, Jim.
Have we made it apparent to the folks that I can't remember what District 5 with ODOT that there is a lot depending and writing on what their ultimate plan and an engineered project is going to be.
Yes, I believe they know that. And again, when, are we going to go through Altair and send
Right.
everybody out at that light? But I don't understand. No, I shouldn't. Let me rephrase. I don't know what the holdup with Wendy's is. I don't know what the argument is.
Yeah, they're ODOT's real estate folks brought in, I believe, the Hill, Coughlin, Terry, and Wendy's, and had a meeting, and Wendy's wasn't having it. Wendy's owner wasn't having it.
Bill.
What wasn't he having, Jim? Do you know?
Wasn't there.
See, I wasn't there
He
either.
don't
So I
want to
don't-
give up any of his land for the right of way. Basically,
even though it would improve access into his,
he's still getting his,
Whatever happened to his plan to build a new Wendy's, a new bank?
that was when he was wanting to tear down some buildings and stuff and he wanted to fail. We
Okay,
granted it.
all right.
Just like Polies, we granted them favors. We let them put a sign up out there. And I don't see them reciprocating anything to the town. Change the sign. It should have been down in a year. Did they come back and ask for a continuance or anything?
Not that I know of.
Okay, and what about their bond?
I checked in with him this week, and I have not received a bond from him for the,
There we go.
I mean,
I'm not blaming you. I'm just, I'm getting
All you can
frustrated
do
with
is
that,
ask,
Jim. All the pieces, when you put them all together, to me, it's more than just a light. It's gonna end up in a big mess before it's over. And we listen, nothing against Bailey either, but Bailey's heard this about the state, and you've tried to communicate with him about the bonding. You haven't got anything back yet. Bailey hasn't heard anything back yet.
What,
It's all,
how much were they supposed to put up? Is it for this section, phase 2 or whatever?
it was the letter of credit for the signal.
Oh, okay. It's that piece.
I mean, and we don't know how much the letter of credit needs to be, because we don't know how the signal's not designed.
Right.
I mean,
Like I can, yeah.
I don't know what to do. I mean, we can stop them. Like I said, we can, well,
Hold 'em
I
up.
think we can. I don't know. What would we stop him? Oh, we stopped him for the lift station
Permits.
last time.
Yeah.
That,
yeah.
now, if I go stop them now, they're gonna tell me,
Well,
well, you told me to wait for the 62 turn lane. Now, what are you doing?
I don't know.
I just made a decision knowing that why recreate that intersection when it was gonna be created by ODOT? And
Right.
the brown is what they have left to build.
Yes.
So you got over 100 and some houses. I completely understand if anybody could obviously walk away, and
well, when a 2x4 is $11 and a piece of plywood's 90, and the housing goes into a funk like it did in 07, you think we're gonna build on those lots?
no, I
As
have
long as
no
they have
idea.
customers willing to fork out the cash, they'll build it.
Like I said, if I made a mistake in telling them
No,
to
I'm
wait,
not-
then I'll correct that and tell them to put in the letter.
Yeah, I mean, we can tell them to put in the light regardless, or if you want us to, we can tell them to keep working with Altera regardless
I
of
would-
what ODOT does.
That's what's upsetting me. They're not working with Altera. And that should have been done a long time ago, so we could settle on that. And if we know what ODOT's gonna do or not. If they would get the plan with Altera in place, I'd be satisfied with it.
We can do that.
If the light at Wendy's
Yeah.
never changes, say, let's say the state can't get something worked out with ODOT, it's probably still the best place for them to come out,
Yeah.
not at the end of Bigelow.
But if ODOT puts a light in at Bigelow, they're gonna leave from Bigelow.
Oh, yeah, those people.
They won't
come
care.
down to- They're not gonna.
There's no reason to cut through.
Yeah, if you got a signal at Bigelow, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
If
you're
they-
not cut through.
If they've already come to an agreement with a shopping center and done that, and ODOT puts a red light in, they don't have to pay for the red light anyway. So they'll pay Altera to get that exit there, and you'll have 2 exits.
Okay,
Maybe we'll be lucky enough to get a roundabout at Bigelow.
I think we asked ODOT for that and ODOT told us,
It's a large footprint.
no.
Large footprint.
Might
They
take-
said-
So that's a great idea, but no. As much as Ty Thompson wants it, it's ODOT. It's the man. You can't really do anything
You
about it.
Fight with the man.
And especially when we have $0 in it, it's really hard to deal with
It's not like.
the
ours.
man.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah, those are good points, Marvin.
Absolutely.
I just get frustrated with, I want to see development and building and stuff here, but I want it to be fair to this damn town too.
Absolutely.
I was elected to look after the town's interests, not these developers that come in.
Damn right.
And Yeah, they come in
We
and
can
buy,
all agree
they
about.
buy all Jack's taps up at discount prices. Which I don't blame them there. That's just smart business. It helped Jack out too, but,
But I think we can all agree about that.
well, they had the money to come in and buy them, but they don't have the time to sit down and talk to Altera. They've been told about that for over a year now, haven't they?
Yes.
I even talked to the guy at Altera myself. And I think Pulte said at one time that Altera wouldn't talk to him. And I called the guy that's over at Altera because I had his name. when
Mr.
he
Kitchens.
contacted Me.
Red Kitchen.
He said they hadn't contacted him.
Yeah, I think they contacted some lower level person
There was a
that
guy out there who was working on a roof. He was a
was a
maintenance
c-
man.
roofing contractor.
I went over and asked him if I could pull through the driveway.
Excuse me.
Ay, ay, ay.
We'll check back in.
Now, you brought up the sign. Weren't they supposed to come, don't they have to come back to get approval for that
Annual,
sign?
that was approved for 1 year.
I'm
That
kicking
was
that down the table.
off-premise.
Huh?
I'll check on it.
Okay.
I've said it publicly. I've done this for 15 years. It's pulling teeth.
We're not, I don't think we're
What?
being nit.
It's pulling teeth with Pulte. And I've told one of their leaders that it's very, very difficult dealing with them. It really is. You know, things that any other developer would say, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, they go ahead and do. It's not like we're asking them to pave the road in gold, but anything, it just gets down to nitpicking on their end when we're just asking for the standards to be met. So
They're doing the same thing on warranty work on their houses with people's bottom. Not only we having trouble with them, the buyers of the houses is having trouble too. Jack's had trouble with them.
Recently.
I can't tell you what to do, but if I was you, I'd send Jack out there and give Jack authority to shut them down.
and we need the reasons for that. So that's what we had to make sure we have in our
We don't
back
have
pocket.
any right now since you told them they could wait until the red light went in, but which I understand that. Why you done it, you're trying to be a nice guy. But they're covering up Jack's
Meter pits.
Peter pits.
Yeah.
They want us to accept the streets.
Now, wait a
No-
minute.
No way if it comes to a council vote, well, I vote to accept their streets out there.
Oh yeah, it'll be I'm not silly enough to bring it to a council vote at this point.
You can
So you guys won't even see the legislation.
One
Won't
council
see it
member
yet.
that's highly upset and is gonna lobby against them because of the way they're acting and doing out there.
Well, what are they doing with your pits?
Well, the other day, the crew was out there and they saw him getting ready to sod the yard and meter pit was, a 1.5 feet below grade. And so
Supposed to me,
they asked him, hey, you need to raise that up. This is where you can get extensions. And so he called me and said, well, you guys already accepted that. It's yours to move. And I said, no,
No.
they have to be at grade and you know that. And they are on both sides. He said, but you guys accepted it when you inspected it. And I said, well, why do you believe that? And he said, well, you turn the water on. And once you turn the water on to the house, it's been accepted. And that means you accepted where it's set. And I said, well, my guys, you don't have the yards finished. So we don't know where your final grade is at. And he said, well, too bad. You turned it on. We've released it. It's
so why don't we tell those
between you-
folks that
well,
wanna move
see,
in, they
now
can't
it-
move in until.
damages the homeowner. And I said, okay, we're going to fix that. I'm going to pay for it. We're not going to turn the water on to another house
Right, bingo.
until final grade is on the house and I see the pits at the grade. And he said, well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
We put that water in. We got to have the water drywall and finish inside. And I said, well,
Problem.
life's tough. That's not the way we're going to do it. And then I had another ace up my sleeve. I saw someone was illegally connected to a fire hydrant, which was a subcontract of him. And I said, so you're sure you're not going to fix this meter pit? He said, I am not. I said, okay, we'll take care of it. Now I said, we have problems with theft of a public utility down the road. And I believe he's a subcontractor of yours. Do I send the police to Pulte or him directly? It got awfully quiet. So in any event, he's going to fix the meter pits.
Next time, don't give them the option.
And then he went down and told the sub, you're not supposed to have a hold of these fire hydrants, but it's that daily battle that we have in the construction, but we are fighting our way through it and we're getting it done the right way. We're not leaving meter pits low. We're not doing those things, but
Don't doubt that, but the thing is, Jack, it puts extra stress and time on your.
you better believe it. It does.
The other thing I'll ask you, Jim,
Yes, sir.
they have to get an issue of an occupancy permit issued, right? Before they can move in the home.
The building codes, county building codes does that. Yes.
How do we get these notices from Jim Blair that he gave them an occupancy permit when the yard wasn't finished and the sidewalk and stuff wasn't done?
That I don't know. I'd have to look to see what the permitting was for that.
You know, Bailey?
We don't,
I think the sidewalks are.
We do
Yeah.
zoning compliances.
yeah, but we
believe.
don't give occupancy based on if the yard is finished.
Correct.
I've seen it in Jim's reports and stuff before.
We
The-
give
Well, the
occupancy-
sidewalks, I'm jumping in here and I
It's
probably
okay.
shouldn't.
Yeah, no, it's
I
okay.
think the sidewalks are done, but the yards aren't finished to grade. Because that's the last thing that happens on the house, but.
In the middle of the winter, you're not gonna,
And then
do that.
if you're building a house in the winter, you're not gonna have grass. We've never held up occupancy because there's not grass. Now, it's not winter right now,
no,
but the point is, sometimes you don't get grass till the next.
Sometimes you have to do drastic things to get people's attention so they'll do their job right.
Doesn't he grant conditional occupancy
We
permits?
grant temporary occupancy in the winter if they can't get concrete pavement,
Yeah,
if they
okay.
can't pave their driveway.
Right.
We'll grant a temporary occupancy because you can't pave in the winter.
I just see it all a one-way street in their favor.
Let me ask you this. Really, at the end of the day, there's two points of entrance or exit that we're talking about, and that's either Bigelow or up there at Wendy's, right?
Correct.
I think it's fair in the interest of being as prepared as humanly possible that we ask for Pulte in the next 30 days before our next safety and service meeting to provide us with a rendering of some kind of intersection for both of those locations. I think that's fair.
Both locations being what?
Being going through, if they were to come to some kind of agreement with Altera, what it would look like going through there. Or what it would look like to have some kind of intersection at Bigelow.
I'm gonna reverse hats on you here, Ben. The only, I pissed off at him, excuse my language out there in TV land. I'm ticked off at him the way they've been acting, but I don't want them to waste money. And if they do anything on a light out there, they'll have to hire an engineer. If they go talk to Altera, they can get that worked out between them. Am I right, Jim?
Sure.
I mean, I don't want them to spend $25,000 or $30,000 on an engineer.
I don't think you would need an engineer. It's just some kind of rendering, what they think might be able to go in there with the information they have today, knowing those are the two scenarios that they might come to. At least give yourself, I think it's helping them give themselves a heads up or a head start on what might go in there. What would those renderings look like? And then at that, if it's 60 days for ODOT, we at least have a baseline to jump off of. And we know that there's been thought given to at least one of those two intersections. I don't know. Is that fair? Is that not fair?
Well, if you start with the red light, Jim had promised him he'd wait till ODOT, wait on ODOT, I think.
And when I say wait on ODOT, it's just for them to show the design plans.
Yeah.
Because then I'm not saying wait till it's constructed because that's going to be
Next year.
next year.
Yeah.
So once the plans are done, then we can hand the plans to
say here.
Pulte and then they can design off that. Just making sure we're
We
clear.
could still bump them the other direction now. Put a little pressure on them to go through the,
I don't have a problem putting any pressure on them.
And then we're gonna have another issue coming up with them, which is the improvement, their share of the improvement of the existing Westview lift station. Recently got a number on that. Jim, I think you saw it, but it's slightly over $200,000. They have not responded at this point. So again, I wasn't going to have it in this meeting, but I was going to meet with Jim. At what point do we, lack of a better term, shut them down if they don't get that $200,000 to us?
So there are two lift station issues.
Well, there's
Or three?
There's 2 lift stations. One, they have to build to make it work.
This is theirs. right?
Yeah, the other one belongs to us, but they are taking capacity out of that existing lift station. And also we have line size and flow problems because the lines in there are not large enough to carry to the sewer plant. So the engineers have determined that 20%, they're taking 20% of the capacity away from the existing lift station and line capacity. And they've determined just slightly over $200,000 would be their share of those upgrades. Which we've been talking to them about that lift station, you know, what they are going to have to pay to upgrade since the beginning of this project. Well, now we finally have a number. Now they haven't agreed to that number or disagreed to that number. It was sent to them 2 weeks ago.
I think Prime was heading that conversation, right?
No, that's the final part of CT on that project. That's West Hall.
So do we have any, we don't have a response from Pulte.
So this week, I'm going to call West Hall and say, I've got no response. Where are we at on this? What's our next level of contact with them? If he says, hey, I want to verify that he got them to them and they've responded that they have seen it. I guess at that point, then I was going to have a meeting with Jim to see where's our next step if they aren't willing to come through with their share of that lift station.
And
But
that,
we may have an item to shut this thing down. Not that we're hunting to shut them down. I don't want to say that, but we may have to enter some strong negotiation. And a lot of negotiation is to stop the project till that's taken care of.
Thought you said you couldn't shut people off like that.
we wouldn't issue any more permits.
Yes, because what they have built right now, it's down now, but in phase 1 and phase 2, we don't have to see it, Jim. The lift station will handle that. It's the completion is where they're gonna take that capacity away. So the current houses that are built, that's why we let them start. The lift station can handle what's there. Plus the new Commerce Park. But once they build the rest of those houses, plus the new Commerce Park, we begin to have problems.
That's the Westview lift station?
Yes.
Yes,
In that item,
One
right,
that's in the backyard of somebody.
yes.
Okay.
that item, I have no problem shutting the project down for. I mean,
That's been under discussion before the first house was built.
Well, here, take up for you and Jim both. He was trying to be nice guys and help them out. You see where every time you tried to help them out, where it's come back to slap you in the face.
Well, but this is where I agree with Jim. If we don't get resolution on the rest of this lift station, then we can't build any more houses.
Right.
Because then they'll dig into the Commerce
Piece.
Park piece of that lift station, which we told them before they ever started, a section of quantity, a percentage of that lift station was reserved for Commerce
Now,
Park.
is the solution to that, to put a larger pipe between that lift station and the sewer plant?
Yes.
Okay.
Or an independent force main, just
Okay.
for out of there. And that's why the construction of a normal lift station is usually around 80 to 110, 20,000. The reason this is slightly over 200,000 is because there's pipe associated with it.
But when you get into a force main, there's more maintenance on a force main than a gravity flow, isn't there?
It's less expensive to install because it only has to be 4 foot deep and it doesn't have to follow grades. Gravity sewer has less maintenance, but well more expensive to install. So
If it's, what I'm getting at, if it's their problem, why wouldn't they have to pay the higher rate now instead of giving them a deal on that when they walk away? Then it becomes a village maintenance.
I don't disagree with you.
We got pumps in there to push that and things that has to be replaced every so
They
often.
have to be upsized. Yes. So everything from the pumps to the vault size to the lines have been part of this study that was done. And they have been given the results. I just need to verify with Wes. Yes, they received it, who he sent it to, and that they have not responded. Because at this point, we're going to require a response.
I'd probably send that out sooner than later.
Yes,
the date on the letter, telling them you want a response by a certain date.
I agree. And that's what I said. I'm digging into that this week. Cause I thought 2 weeks was long enough for them to respond. You know, hey, when somebody sends you a bill for $200,000, I feel they had the right to look over it, talk about it. So I thought 2 weeks was a reasonable time frame.
You send me a bill like that and you aren't gonna have to wait 2 weeks because I'll be down at your office.
But you won't be down to my office if you owe it,
Huh?
if you truly owed it.
If I owed,
Now, you might
2
come
months,
tell
you'd
me
shut me off. You'd shut my water and sewer off if I owed 2 months.
Yesterday.
You're that woman that works in there hard water.
Well, can't let you get $60 behind.
On a little more pleasant note, I got a compliment from a resident about Jack. Since I've been drilling him so hard here, I'll throw that compliment out. They said that if everybody that worked here was as nice, they don't know everybody, but it was as nice and easy to work with as Jack, because Jack's helped him on some projects and he didn't want me to tell Jack who he was. And he said Jack has helped him tremendously on projects that he's been working on. And he told me he was really easy to work with. And I said, you're not talking about the same Jack that I know. But
How did I know that was coming?
that was a great compliment for Jack.
Absolutely.
That make up for drilling you.
You're getting there.
Put it on his tab.
I can't narrow down who it is because that could be one of 200-300 people.
Well, I'm sure.
Was, as it relates to Pulte, I still don't think it's unreasonable to ask them for some kind of rough rendering on
That's fine.
one of those two, in my opinion. If they've truly reached out to a subcontractor repairing a roof and thinking that's sufficient for making contact with Altera, and that's the case. And that, I mean, does that show true intent that you're really thinking about this and trying to make that comment? So for me, in my opinion, it gives everybody a baseline to start from. We know it's a rough draft based off the information that's known today. And I think it conveys our intent to say, hey, we're taking this seriously and this is something that we're going to continue to pursue. So to have something and not have to have something, I think would be beneficial. I don't think we're looking for a professionally engineered rendering, but something to give themselves some vision on what that might look like. That's just my opinion. I think that would help. I think that would help assuage some concerns with that in some way, shape, or
I
form.
agree with you, but I think where I'm getting stuck right now is if they're asking for us to accept phase 1 and 2, and it says after the completion of phase 2 that they're gonna start working on that light, they're talking out both sides of their mouth. And so we need to stop that. Whether that means we stop them immediately, means we just stop any further work until they either decide they want us to accept phase 1 and 2, and then they're gonna do their side, or they're not, because they're not gonna talk out of both sides of their mouth. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't even bring you legislation until that's buttoned up, because I know how it's going to go, and I would expect it to go that way. So
And that may be something that we send them a letter also, you know, and just mention, you want us to accept phase 1 and 2, but in the contract, it says at the completion of phase 2, you will design that. And just, you have 2 weeks to respond. And I would not play with them anymore. And I want to go on record to say, Jack, if you or anybody in the village sees them stealing a public utility again, you prosecute, you don't ask. You call the chief, you get somebody up there, you prosecute whoever you need to prosecute. That's, to me, that is absolutely a no-no. For what we are asked to do and what we're voted here to do, I would not give them a second chance at all.
Okay.
Fair?
sure.
I concur with that on the water usage.
Absolutely.
That's, I mean, if they go to federal prison for that, let them go. That's, you took the risk, that's the reward.
Well,
want it, you got it.
they estimate how much water they was taking out. Let's estimate a bill and send it to them. How much water flows out of what is
But
that?
you
a
don't know that,
3-inch?
Marvin. How do you estimate that?
Same way they estimated taking it out.
It's gonna be one, I would just,
What's the flow on a hydrant, Jack?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was down to a 3/4 inch hose. They shimmed it down.
Okay. What's
So-
an hour?
Probably 15 gallons a minute. But I don't know how many minutes it was running. So I drove up there and went, what's
Had it
going
on all
on?
night for all we
Probably
know.
probably did.
You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be hard to calculate unless you physically see somebody attaching that and opening up that hydrant at that certain time.
I told him it was gonna be way more than it was gonna cost me to fix that meter pit. So we agreed that he would fix the meter pit and that.
So I know who did not give you that comment. The guy Jack was talking to.
That's true. He was rather tense when I left, but
Never called me.
well, I told Jim that he may call because we had a firm conversation about what was and was not going to happen. So I told Jim that if he did call him, please just refer him right back to me and we'll stop the circle. But he didn't call. We also rejected his next 4 meter pit inspections.
Yes, you're off his Christmas list.
No candy for me.
No Cheryl's cookies.
But we had a valid reason for each one and we recorded it, put it in, and I got no call on those either. And we're supposed to go out tomorrow to re-inspect those. So I had just one other item, unless you wanted to jump in, is I think council tonight, the next big project we have going on is with council's approval this evening, the RFP for the water plant. If council approves it tonight, full council, but I think when you see the water and sewer report with the gallons we're pumping, it's very, very critical that we get this project started. I do think it falls under our projects here as safety service because we pumped when it was hot there the other day, 20 consecutive hours. And for Johnstown, that's, well, 24 hours, we can do 1 million gallons and that's all we can do. And we pumped 20 consecutive hours, 2 days in a row. So
All right.
we're at it.
Maybe
Easy.
I won't say.
What's the completion date for Tower 2?
Tower 2 was what was it, June of 22?
Next year. Okay.
Year.
All right.
Yep.
Muddle through till.
Which could help get us through these hard times with both towers full.
Okay.
However, of course, the end of 22, if all goes well, we've got to take the big tower down for maintenance. So
But that's not,
Should be fine.
still nerve wracking.
that's a number of months, not like,
Yes.
it's not a year's project.
Their estimated completion date on the new tower.
June of 22.
June of next year.
I think substantial completion maybe this year still before winter hits, but it won't be. I didn't remember that. Okay.
No, I don't think so because they don't even know that they can get the steel deliveries they need.
Mhm.
That's a big concern is the rebar going up in the pedestal and the steel itself. Right now, steel's hard to get a hold of.
Well, the world's been shut down for how many months?
Yes, it has.
Right.
I wish you'd let them open stuff back up, Marvin.
Never closed it.
It is in the state tomorrow.
With Oregon, you said South Oregon
Yes,
in mid-July, right?
yes.
We're still gonna go out and address some of those larger potholes that are out there between now and then, or are we just gonna let them go?
No, the crew is going out again Thursday
Okay,
to, and you'll see in the report also the tonnage of hot mix is going down. It's just, there's a lot of it. William Street is falling apart as we speak. It's almost as bad as Oregon is now. Of course, they were both done at the same time
sure.
with no base work done under either one of them.
Excellent.
But,
Is there a
Great
base?
to know.
well, there wasn't much under the first section we did,
Okay.
but,
Good.
again, Williams, I mean, there's nothing for that other than patching this year.
Yeah.
But yes, the bigger holes we're working on.
And then the mill and fill on the north side of town. I know that's on the books for this year. too.
Yes, I thought I meant Edwards Road. I think I did say we were in a couple of weeks, we're gonna be ready to bid that. I have reached out to Troy Hendren to see if his section is ready, because it was a joint project, we need to bid them together and determine how Jim and I talked a little bit earlier, probably, a 50-50 split sounds reasonable to me. And the other sections, which is North Oregon, Upham, Benedict, Buena Vista, should follow 2 weeks behind that.
All right, perfect.
Did you get that engineering done, Chad, or Jim, for him?
No, there's a line somewhere in the sand and that was it.
Okay.
Oh, for Troy. Okay.
Yes.
Now I understand.
Yeah, we didn't engineer their portion of the road.
No, I,
Those are all the questions I had. Any other construction project updates? I think that's plenty for right now.
Things that I want to bring up. Should we bring it up here, Jack, or Jim? About what I was talking to you about the new streets? Bring it up here, talk about it in council.
Probably council, because you'll probably have to just reiterate it again.
Okay.
If nothing else for item 3, we'll move on to item 4, which is the review of the 2021 goals, which are at the bottom of the agenda that we have here. Also, Jim has them up there on the board. Just wanted to run through these real quick since we're about halfway through the year, about five months through the year so far. Number 1, update security in the water plant, sewer plant, and service departments. We did the fencing, right, is something that we have.
Work is not completed.
But we've
but
approved
ye-
it.
But yes, it's approved, and for the water and sewer plant, everything is ordered.
Okay.
The dreaded COVID is still
Yeah.
slowing me down.
Next steps for those would be door security.
Door security is step 2. That is correct.
Do we have it? I can't remember because we've moved some of the appropriations around in terms of the projects they're going towards, but paving on the books for water and sewer plants this year or not?
Wanted to let you know my thoughts on that. The sewer plant, due to its pending reconstruction in 2.5 years, there's going to have to be work all over that.
Yeah.
I personally think I don't want to repave that. I don't want to spend that money because there's going to be heavy equipment
Yep.
all over that. And I think we just ought to add new paving in with the completion of the sewer plant. Water plant, I have a different thought. I want to go ahead and complete that paving because all that construction will happen on what I will call the east side of the plant where there is no paving. The additional building, the additional piping will all go on the east side. So I would like to go ahead and do the paving at the water plant. But because of the way the sewer plant's constructed, I think we should wait. I don't want
Makes
to
sense.
waste those and add that new paving in to part of the wastewater plant.
Sewer plant was more expensive anyway, so that
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Yeah,
I
well,
think it was 150, 180 versus
Yeah.
50 or so for the water
Yeah.
plant. So that's
so
makes
in my mind, and I've talked to my sewer operators and told them that's what I had in mind. They're disappointed, but understand, I hate to put new asphalt down and then be digging pipes and
enough.
stuff through it. Water plant, I do think is a different situation. We can take care of all of that and 90% of the work will be on the other side.
because you really wanted to firm up the base on that part of the sewer plant where the big trucks are
Where
coming
the
in. and-
semis
yeah,
roll through.
correct. Which
Yeah,
you saw a
so
lot
if
of
I
it.
add that into that bigger project, when all that equipment stuff's there, I honestly believe it's a better fit.
Makes sense.
so are we gonna have somebody, one of the companies that's coming out and bidding on one of these road projects, ask them to bid, give us a number for doing that paving? They already will immobilize their,
I've asked for a quote from Law, who has the South Oregon project. Also, Mid-Ohio Paving is going to throw a bid in on that. We have asked Smalls, but they have not got back to us.
all right, just curious.
That's great.
And to that end too, I forgot to ask East Jersey Street, putting it to bed for this year, like you said, and then teeing it up for 2022.
I would view that, my current thought is right now, part of our TAM, our road maintenance project, we need to do some recoding and resurfacing on some of the roads that we've already done. Not resurfacing, but recodings. And so I'm thinking we should only have one project next year, and that'll be East Jersey. We'll apply for High Public Works again, is where I think we should go. And everything else I'm going to bring you is for either Cape Seal or Micro Seal, the resurfacing on roads we have already fixed.
Cape being the Onyx.
Well, there's Onyx and Micro and Cape. Cape is for roads that are in a little bit rougher
Okay.
condition. Commerce Boulevard may
Yeah.
need a Cape Seal. It's broken down far enough. I'm hoping we can get away with Cape Seal and not have to do a complete mill and fill. Where Buena Vista, that section that's been done, I think an Onyx can go over that, or possibly a Micro Seal. So in August, I'm going to bring that company in to get me a price on everything to prepare for September's budget meetings. And then I think East Jersey should be our number one focus for the High Public Works. Although, as someone just mentioned, William Street, another street,
Sure.
and Casson, but I thought we kind of agreed that we do surfacing, catch up on our surface coatings, and then have that as one main project.
Yep. So with the East Jersey, where it is for this year, the plan for the bike path parking lot addition is to keep it gravel now, or are we going to be sourcing out, trying to pave that this year separately?
I personally would like to see it paved, but I don't know that we approved money to do that.
I've sent in an application for a NatureWorks grant.
Future works. That's right.
Jim, Leonard, and I have also spoken about funding possibilities to get it paved this year in case we don't get the grant. So our intention is to pave it this year.
And that nature Works grant, that was passed last council meeting, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That
When will
resolution.
we hear about the nature?
When is it,
Works
when that
grant?
due June 1st?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mailed it Friday. We might not hear about the NatureWorks grant until August.
See, that gets you close possibly to getting a
Shut down.
paving company in to cover it.
So that's sort of what I think we should maybe do is identify a different funding source in case we don't get the grant and just make the plan to pave it possibly at the end of August or September. And then if we do get the grant, we'll have the plans already. And if we don't, we'll have to use the funding source we identify.
Now Law Construction, I think I gave you that estimate there a while back. I think they were around 60,000,
You give me an
58,000,
estimate of 48,000.
48,000
Under that
for
threshold.
that lot. Now that's from Law, and that was before they got the bid of South Oregon. So
Could be less because of mobilization.
I think if they're already here, they may work with us on that. But again, we'll have to define the funding source. Because if we wait on the NatureWorks grant, probably wouldn't get that work done till next year.
Yeah. So I think we should just plan
Can we
for it.
Put
do
that-
get it?
And then
ourselves
if we
back?
do get it, we can,
Because then you don't need it.
Yeah. Right.
but if we do get it, then we'll already have it on schedule, which is sort of my idea.
Can we maybe add that for finance for next meeting, just to talk through that? You think that's appropriate?
Sure.
So I'm trying to think,
I think that NatureWorks grant was pretty quick turnaround when we got it
if
for.
we get word on that,
We can,
by the time they're done, July, August, I think they're planning on paving South Oregon in September.
we may, if we are lucky enough to get it.
Just personally, I don't think we're
Oh, absolutely not.
We only have $59,000 available for Licking County, and we applied for $36,000 of those for paving a parking lot. So it's not fun. It's not,
Right.
it doesn't pull in great marketing.
Kids can't play on
On our
it
parks,
without being
which
hit.
they've helped us with.
Well, let's, I'll make a note if we add that for finance for next meeting, just to talk through scenario 2 for paving that.
Send an amendment to your application. That we're gonna put a fence around it and make it a daycare center.
The park. Kids playing on asphalt.
When it's not, doesn't have cars in there, we can let the kids close the gates and let the kids play in there.
And dog park.
I don't want the kids in the dog park. Y'all hurt the dogs.
Yeah, how? Any update on fencing?
We're getting some estimates,
Keep getting asked. That's what.
Additional estimate.
additional estimates.
Are they coming in high on you or?
They're coming in pretty high, yeah.
Kind of material we looking at? Aluminum?
Yeah, I'd say it's aluminum fence. And it just keeps,
But with,
and there's no guarantee.
it's sort of like a wood,
Yeah.
like it has wood and framing.
But the
You sent-
woven itself.
You sent me that, didn't you? That
Mhm. Yeah, materials are
Yeah, the
just
two materials that are
expensive.
very volatile in the marketplace right now, wood and aluminum.
Aluminum
Yep,
and steel, man.
And that's why you're probably seeing it all over the board. Right?
Much higher than we
Prices, yeah,
anticipated.
yes.
Yeah. That's why.
We thought when, you know, we were thinking 34,000, we'll make, when they said that they would pay up to 17,000, Licking County Parks, we thought, well, we got this thing made. That wasn't half of the first estimate we got.
Nope.
Excellent.
Ugh.
I can get those screw down things that they put in under mobile homes to hold them down. We can put those down the ground and chain the dogs to them. Get the
the
fence.
big lead.
Huh?
The
Yeah.
big lead.
Sorry, didn't go
Item number 2
Yeah.
on our goals. Investigate window security replacement for admin and council chambers. I know at the beginning of the year, we were holding on that till the renovation was done. The admin piece, I think we're probably 2022 at this point for that? Or do we think that that is still a goal to investigate this year for funding this year?
I don't know. I don't want to say, I think we're more secure in our situation now. Maybe save for Laura because she's surrounded by glass, but we have tinted them. We've made it a little difficult to see in. And that's pretty expensive stuff.
Let's hold off till 22.
I think so. I mean,
It's the note that I made. I just wanted to make sure we're all okay. Install street lights. I'm not going to say any more. That's in finance's hands, and I think that is off our plate.
we should invite AEP in to talk. No.
I'm moving on. Item number 4, conduct crime mapping. That is a point that we're going to get here too with agenda item 5 with Chief on the line here, but that could be something that is in progress for us. The sidewalk program, we were waiting on the TAP application, which we did not receive. So that can probably take an item spot here on the agenda for July to bring that back up for consideration for safety and service. Doug, if you're okay with continuing that.
Mhm.
Okay. And then item 6, dangerous street tree removal policy was something we talked at the meeting in May that Tree Commission has taken on. Marvin has taken that to the Tree Commission to work on. So I think that is off the plate for safety and service. But Marvin, is there anything that you wanted to update on that from Tree
Yeah, I
Commission?
just talked to, guy tonight. It was, the tree commission approved. I had several names from Dawes Arboretum. And the one guy is a certified arborist. And I called him tonight and he said he would, we agreed to get him for 5 hours. His rate is $85 per hour for inspections. And his name's Randy and he's called McCall's Tree Service. They're the ones Dawes Arboretum uses and the arboretum he is. And he said that he would come up and look at the trees with I told him there was groupies that wanted to go with him. And he said, I don't care, bring them on. But I also talked to him about maybe at a later date, if we want to engage his services, I think it might be a good idea to say the tree company or the tree committee allocate so much money a year to, if we're gonna get rid of these trees. But the thing is, if they're in the right of way, the property owners, and we're gonna have to make some decisions on that. Where the property owners will work with us or what we're gonna do. I'd like to get an ongoing situation with him where he comes up and looks at trees. And even if He told me tonight, if somebody had a tree in their yard they was questioning or something, they would have to pay for the inspection, but he would come up and inspect those trees for us, which I'd much rather pay him $100 or $200 than to cut a tree down if it's salvageable.
Yeah, we can coordinate, have the village arborist and just have it a contract position.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea.
I also asked him, Jack, you know how in the winter you get the trees coming down and you guys shove them off to the, out of the
Mhm.
way? I asked him, I said, do you offer services? I said, when we get weather that bad, our guys don't really have time to do it. And he said, oh, sure, we'll come up, and clean them up. Get them out of the way. So, I don't know,
Good.
stepping on your toes a little bit there on the street, but,
Happy, step away.
we get the big toe out.
If you get Bailey the contact information, we can draw the contract up if he wants to do that formally.
Tell you what, let's do, when he comes up, let's get to know him a little bit, see what everybody thinks of him. Bailey wants to go on the tour with him too. But he is a married man, Bailey.
She's an engaged woman, Marvin.
Yeah, I'm happy for her. But I think it's a good idea for him to come up and spend 5 hours with us to go over the trees and see what we think of him and what he thinks of us before we give him a contract.
You have a specific grouping of trees to show him and let him look at where
I
you're.
told him where I
concerned?
thought was, now, I'm open for suggestions to start on South Main Street and go Main Street all the
All the way.
way through. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about 62.
No, because
Just
those
clear
are pretty
those.
well cleared
Yeah,
at the last project.
but that would be my opinion. Has anybody else got any areas they want looked at?
Rolling
Yeah.
Meadows. Oh,
Definitely Rolling Meadows.
Yes.
And I want him to look at the oak tree in Trailhead Park because I can't get an estimate from anyone
it's a monster.
Estimate for,
cleaning up the
Fair
oak
enough.
tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, if he cleans it up and trims it up, he knows what he's doing. You're not gonna lose the tree if it's.
Yeah, and there's good branches in there. There's split and broken branches up in there. I mean, that tree needs a lot of work, but I'd sure hate to lose that tree due to its age and size. Right now, it's not safe to be under because there's a lot of dead wood up within the tree. It just needs worked over.
And cleaned out.
But it's a big tree.
Is that at?
Right there at Trailhead Park, where we're gonna put the dog park.
Yeah.
That was a concern Bailey and I talked about. I wouldn't want anybody under it because every now and then a branch that big around, just the weight has got so great that it's actually split.
And he's talking to his supervisor. He wants to form a partnership with Johnstown on the tree thing. And he's got some ideas about planting prehistoric trees of some kind over around the mastodon.
Yeah,
He just got real excited when I told him we had a mastodon.
that'd be fantastic. I think the Parks Commission might be interested in that too, Parks Committee.
Yeah, yeah. What are you looking to?
I'm trying to figure out what a prehistoric tree and
Like the trees planted down the end of your lawn there, yeah.
all
the
this
trees we put
fast
in.
growing, whatever they were.
Yeah, they love water.
Okay, yeah, they do.
And
They,
they've got other ideas down there at Dawes's. He said we have.
they
some
grow
in-
fast.
Yeah. I said we have some in the nursery down there that they might share with us.
That'd be fantastic. Very cool.
yeah, we can plop a sign down there if they want to help us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got oak tree in the dog park, Main Street, north and south, and Rolling Meadows.
Because a lot of those trees in Rolling Meadows hang over the
Silver
road and it
maples,
damages
horrible.
the road. And so a lot of them just need reworked.
Yeah.
You know, they've just grown and grown and they're overgrown and
Are those on private property then? They're up in their yards, aren't they?
Both probably.
both, but a lot of them are behind the sidewalk.
Yeah, because you can mount the curb to park. and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I,
So maybe,
I'd say once we get him up here and start looking at stuff and give him some time to do estimates and then go back and talk to the homeowners, we'll send Bailey down to talk to them to see if they'll pay to get their trees trimmed and get them a deal.
yeah, on a bunch of them. Cause I know there in Westview, as you gentlemen know, you know, we told them there was 1, 2, 3, 4 trees that had to go because you could see where it was just destroying the road because it never saw the sun. It never dried out. We did get that worked out with them, but if we could get some of those trees trimmed up, it'd be wonderful.
If Bailey goes, they won't scream at you, Bailey, like they would me.
They probably would.
I think John Luke, are you on now on Zoom? Is that you?
I am.
Yeah, just making sure, just for the record.
Oh, yep.
Thank you.
So circling back to item number 4 under our goals, which is item number 5 on our agenda, crime mapping via CAD. This is Chief is on here virtually. This is something that, for some context, that we've had as an item for safety and service for a little while. We moved it to the top 5 here this year, but after seeing what Chief has been able to provide via the analytics and data that is coming from the CAD system, I reached back out to ask if Chief might be able to look into, the crime mapping piece, how that might be applied either from just a general understanding, even if the document is used internally for the police department to understand staffing and other recommendations, but also thinking about traffic accidents too. And that might be something that if we're able to do the crime mapping, maybe we can do the traffic accident mapping within the village that might help influence how we look at safety in intersections or safety in certain stretches of road that we might not otherwise have without that data in front of us. So just thought it might be a good application for Chief to take a look at, maybe update committee. And we can continue to kind of keep that topic, going forward if we think that there's application within the CAD system to help, influence the safety of the village. So Chief, I will turn it over to you here to give some updates on that, if that's okay. He's unmuted, but we can't hear anything.
About now.
Gotcha.
There you go.
You're on.
Okay, very good. Sorry about that. So as far as CAD goes, I can do anything that you want to as far as crime mapping goes, what particular offense you want to look at or crime as far as like traffic accidents or what may not. The only issue that I would see bringing forward is that if I can expand it from basically event numbers to the actual event itself, when it shows the event, unfortunately shows the address. So if it shows the address, it's just something I want the community to be aware of. Do we really want to put people's addresses out there?
Right. And that was the part with, if it's something that's just, if the capability is there and we know about it, but it's something that's used internally by the police department, I think that's more than sufficient. But it was just something that we had discussed. So I think there's a greater privacy concern, like you said, that we definitely want to make sure that we're aware of, because I don't think that's something that we want to have out there with everybody.
A chat question for the chief.
Sure.
Right. And with that said, I can mock up a map any way that you want to see it done. So what I could do is I could just put like a little car where we have traffic crashes and then I put like a little key or something like that and then create a map where it just doesn't have the addresses. So that way you get an overall idea of what's happening where. But anything the safety committee wants to see with it, I can make happen.
Explain to me what function this is going to do, either one of them, the overall benefit of the community. The crime mapping, I understand, but and the traffic too, but what benefit are we gonna get out of that when the chief does all that work?
Well, first of all, it's for me, which is why I brought it up. And I mean, we have it on there as a goal, is at the very least having an understanding on committee and council who invested a lot of money into the CAD system, what the capabilities are. Not necessarily there may be an immediate need for it today, but just further understanding that there are capabilities there to be able to utilize that if and when it is needed. I think from a crime mapping standpoint, I think the privacy piece is a pretty paramount factor with providing it and keeping it maybe internally. But from a traffic accident standpoint, it might be interesting to look at the data and on an annual basis, a monthly basis, a quarterly basis as a committee. with maybe chief's recommendation as to, are there certain areas in the village, rather than looking at it as it comes in piecemeal month over month, are there trends that we may be missing because we're not looking at the information in aggregate over a larger period of time that might influence how we address a particular intersection or a particular stretch of road? Just a thought. Maybe it's a long-term goal and many years down the road. Maybe it's a next year goal. But at the very least, just seeing what Chief had there presented in the last meeting, I thought it was important to just make sure that committee was aware of the capabilities of that CAD system at the very least. So we don't have to act on anything, but just knowing that the capability is there.
Those capabilities is there, but we also have limited time that we can expect of our employees, chief being one of them. How much of the, I don't see why we would need the crime map for the council and stuff.
Right.
'Cause I don't want to see those addresses and stuff.
Agreed.
Because if it gets out in the public, I don't want them to say, well, he said it was there.
Yeah.
The traffic I can understand, but I would say that wouldn't be more than a 6 months, take 6 month period to figure out that you're having traffic
Sure.
problems there. That's what happened out to McDonald's, the reason we put a no left turn sign out there.
Sure. Yeah. Don't disagree. Like I said, the time frame is fluid. Just knowing that we have the capabilities and validating it with chief, with the rest of committee. So wait, 4 or 5 months and take 6 months worth of data and take a look at it at that point. At least at this point, we've addressed the fact that we can do it. And I think for me, it's another huge benefit of the feature of the CAD system and how we've incorporated it. So
How many man hours do you estimate it's going to take to do this, chief? I guess he didn't want to answer that.
Chief, did you hear the question? You're still on mute that we can see.
I don't think it would take all that long. I mean, I think if I was looking at a month's time, it'd probably take me an hour to get the information. As we speak, it's physically being recorded right now. So even if it's something we didn't do now and it's something we wanted to visit a year from now, we would still continue to capture that data. In order to just physically look at the maps on my end, it's very easy. It just takes a couple of key clicks and the system really generates the report for me in about 30 seconds or less.
Okay, so it comes off of your report, so it's not going to require a lot of additional manpower or man hours.
It will not. The only time that the man hours will come into play is if I have to create customized maps that would basically not have the addresses and not have the CAD numbers that are associated with it. So if I was to give you just like a raw map with the incident numbers on it without the addresses associated, that would take mere seconds. If there's something that you wanted to be a little bit more sophisticated, where you knew where traffic crashes were as opposed to theft calls and not have the addresses, that's going to take a little bit more time.
I think that's fair. That makes sense to me. So at this point, it doesn't sound like there's a flavor to look at anything, since really the CAD system is in its infancy with how it's being implemented into the village. But I think it would be an interesting look at maybe toward the end of the year, as we've got several months of data, just to see what that might look like. Just out of curiosity, similarly to how we have other departments do year-end reporting.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm concerned about, just out of curiosity and for information and stuff, I just don't want to put a lot of extra time on these department heads. He said it wouldn't take him that long, so go to it.
Yeah. Okay.
I know that CAD system's great. I don't know anything about it. But what I didn't want to do is lay something on the chief that he's gonna have to spend 2 or 3 days.
Oh, for
doing.
sure. Yeah,
All these
absolutely.
Other problems out there.
Absolutely. There's got to be a benefit to the information you're looking for. There's got to be some action that you're hoping to glean.
Well, I hope so, other than just being curious. About
Sure. Absolutely. So very good. Appreciate the time, Chief. Thanks for looking into it. And excited to see some, any other, continued application for that CAD system. I think it was a great do for us, for the village to put in.
Anytime. Thanks for the feedback on it.
2 items for other business, but didn't know, one of them I wanted to hit real quick. And Chief, while you're on here too, you can maybe lend to it. There's a wanted to bring everybody safety and service up to speed because I think there's a safety and service application for it as well. I don't remember the ordinance number, but we have an ordinance tonight that's teed up for introduction specifically for the police department to hire an additional officer. Chief, if you have a moment and you may repeat yourself tonight, or Dana, I'm not sure if she's joining tonight, but you may end up repeating yourself for the greater council. But I know finance heard last week during the special committee meeting, but thought it might be appropriate to update safety and service as well, since in my opinion, there's a direct public health safety aspect to it. Just update really what that ordinance is all about.
So basically, the ordinance just comes down to request another officer. And how this come to fruition is recently we had one of our employees go on an extended sick leave, approximately 4 weeks. And I shared with Mr. Leonard that, with that undue hardship upon the department, we're really almost on the cusp of having the sheriff's office handle calls for us. If I get one more employee sick, then unfortunately that's going to be the outcome. Or option 2 is just a massive amount of overtime where I'm really running the employees into the ground. Recently, we did the oral board interviews. I have 2 candidates. Both candidates interviewed extremely well and also appeared to do very well in the background as well. And I requested to Mr. Leonard that we hire not one of those that I'm already budgeted for, but both of them, which I would not be budgeted for. So here we are and mid-year. And if we do hire this second employee, basically it comes close to a wash as far as the expenditure of that additional employee. However, there will be the incurrence of costs next year and some occurrence of costs this year in ways of uniform and equipment.
We took care of that.
What do you mean? That's the ordinance for this evening.
Okay.
He's just recapping.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's just for safety
I'm
and
sorry,
service,
I
just
came in the
recapping
middle
for
of
safety
that.
and service. So finance looked at it, heard it, went through it, approved it because approved it to move forward for ordinance for council because the funds are there and they're available, and there will be, an update to the budget when we go through the budget cycle talks for 2022. But in that chief's request, continues to push us further toward ultimately where we should be from a ratio standpoint. Thought it a very important item to bring up and work to gain alignment on within council as well, but wanted to bring it to safety and service too. So Doug or Marvin, if you guys had any questions or concerns, but wanted to put it out there for you guys to ask about.
I'd like to know what was budgeted in the original budget for the police department this year and how many times we've had increases. I know when chief got here, he had an empty cupboard. But it seems like every meeting we're appropriating more money and getting up to speed. Now we're talking instead of 1 officer, 2 officers. Just ordered a $60,000 automobile. And I seen on there somewhere how much was the uniforms and stuff.
There's additional 6, I think, for the uniforms, if I'm not
There was
mistaken.
a big number on there I seen for uniforms here not too long ago.
Oh, for that one, I don't recall that off the top of my head, how much that was for everybody. That was worked into the budget for this year overall.
That was included in the budget.
Correct. I don't have the number in front of me
You
for. what
guys
the
got
overall
your eye
budget
on the
was.
budget and stuff, and I trust you with it, but I just wonder how much the budget's gonna go.
There's
So really on my end, the only thing that I've really brought to the table as far as expenses this year is the request of a new car. And with that said, it did replace a 10-year-old cruiser with 160,000 miles on it that honestly had no reason of being on the road. It had met its time. It's no longer safe for police use, and it's seen better days, and it needed to be replaced. And unfortunately, I'm kind of in a position now where I'm not even going to see that car most likely until 10 years. So council will most likely save the money from that vehicle this year because we might not get it. And in addition to that, I did make a $5,000 request for Lexipol, which was an oversight on my end. It's something that I failed to do or budget at the beginning of the year. But those are the 2 things that I've brought to council and finance committee this year.
1.2 million for police for this year.
And there were funds available.
There are funds available in the general fund. And the overall feeling from finance and from Dana is that at this point, given how our RETA tax receipts have been trending, we're most likely pretty conservative on what we're expecting this year. So we expected continued upside.
Thank you.
Doug, any questions or anything? So with that, within safety and service, it was unanimous within finance. Oh, I thought it was online. Would like to ask for a motion and a second to move forward with hiring of the officer from the Safety and Service Committee. So I'll go ahead and make a motion from Safety and Service to move forward with that.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Count me as an aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. And then thank you for that. We'll go over that in the recap for committees tonight as well, and bring the balance of council up to speed for that piece. In addition, the other item, real quick, just wanted to bring up, I know we've got about 5 minutes left here, is the stormwater management piece, the pond specifically. It's been a little while since we've had an update on that, and it's kind of come back up as we're talking about Concord East and things flowing through that area and pond dredging and what have you. So just wasn't sure where that was within the priority list at this point.
Within the priority list, it's pretty far down. Should I have it done? The answer is yes. Do I have it done? The answer is no. Just being honest with you, between the
There's a lot
different
going on.
projects, water tower, new sewer plant, new sewer lines, new water plant. I just, every time I got to make a choice what I'm working on, that's been shoved back. That's my fault. I should have it done, but I don't. So I will try to get those letters around and out. I can't say any more than just exactly what it was.
We're not calling anybody out either, just trying to understand where it sits. I think
Well, it's me.
everybody knows there's
It
quite
sits at my desk.
quite a
don't-
few projects
I
going
don't
on.
have it done, but I have been working on other
Sure.
projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Is that a Mike? I think I remember us talking about Mike Gutcher's taking that piece over or running with that.
Well, I need to get the initial letters out and then how we're going to handle the maintenance of that. And then once I get that done, I was going to turn it over to Mike. That is correct. I didn't feel that it was fair for me to throw that at him when he doesn't really know much about it. Because I assume when that first grouping of letters go out, we're going to get a lot of pushback. Why are we paying for this? Who's paying? Doesn't somebody upstream have to support this? I think I need to get the groundwork laid out, and then the annual inspection, well, semi-annual is how I wanted to do it. Inspection of that, I think you could take over. And then we were going to add a list of people that can work on those. And man, I'll tell you what, we've put out a lot of calls and there's not a lot of takers on that type of work.
Sure.
If you have a small pond and it's a private pond and you want the cattails pulled on it, there's some people that do that, but these bigger detention ponds, the few people we have got a hold of are saying, well, that's, we aren't really geared for anything that big. So
Dale told me he had somebody that took care of the schools.
Dale Dixon.
Yeah,
Okay.
might want to reach out to him.
I might do that, but as far as that initial letter, I need to get that done. So
Okay.
I will endeavor to pull that back to the top of the
Give us a
Wow.
half of a time frame,
a half of a time frame.
60 days, 90 days.
I'll have her done in 60 days. I'll have the initial letters out in 60 days. And then we'll see how the
I
chips.
got this paper for you to sign over here.
Okay, I'll sign it. But then we'll see, what the pushback is. That's my big thing is I know there's gonna, because verbally I've talked to a few of the HOA groups and
Sure.
a lot of happiness in Mudville on who should have to take care of it.
There was a big push to have something consolidated for stormwater management and to think
Yep.
that nothing would be done to get us to the point where we need to have that foundation.
Nope, yep,
And
correct.
We've got to get something done.
we,
Jim, just a second.
we're going to have to participate in the countywide MS4 program too, once we become a city. So the legislation is in place, but we do have to become a little more active in that committee to get our responsibilities met. So we don't have to create our own.
Is this something, because we still have, as far as I know, is the stormwater management committee still together?
After we had the county come up here and he found out what kind of problems we were having and what was going on, he didn't want to participate anymore. We had the guy from drainage ditch for the county.
Yeah.
And I think he would be a good source for these ponds too. I'll talk to you about it.
Okay.
Okay. Those are the only two items I had. Was there any other business? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?